Hey guys, the average moviegoer here today, and I'm going to be continuing my gentleman spoiler talk. So we left off with the fog thing and the parachutes. Now we move on to another important part, also in our great scene, but kind of disgusting. So Mickey, after finding out about Dry Eye, he goes to meet Lord George, who's basically the Chinese guy, and he's the leader of Dry Eye's gang, basically. So Mickey goes over there and we see a guy putting something in some tea. Then this Lord George guy has that tea. Then Mickey's basically asking him about Dry Eye and saying how he thinks Lord George has sent Dry Eye to ask for Mickey's farms. But then what happens is the tea that was spiked, Lord George is drinking, then he just starts vomiting all over the place. He's like, ugh, and then it goes all over the table. It happens twice. It is a lot of vomit. And then Mickey's got like a gun to his head. He's like, oh, why'd you do it and all that. And whilst this is happening, some of Mickey's men are like burning down one of his damn it, what was the thing he burnt down? He burned down one of the places where they make. I can't remember exactly what those guys were doing there, but they do burn it down. So that happens, and then they give him this antidote that will help him, cause if he doesn't take this antidote, he will shit himself to death, is what they say. So then after that, George has a meeting with Dry Eye, and he basically asks him like, "Oh, did you go to Mickey Pearson? Are you asking for his farm and all that?" And then Dry Eye's like, "The young succeed the old and all that." And he's like, "Fuck you, old man! I'll piss on your grave." Then it cuts away, and then Fletcher tells Raymond that Lord George is dead, and then Fletcher reveals the fact that Matthew Berger, the supposed friend of Mickey, is actually working with Dry Eye. And I think that was a little bit predictable because he's like Mick. They're talking about people who know the locations of the weed farm. Matthew actually knows it, so there was definitely a chance that he was messing around with him. They meet at the Arsenal State, the Emirates. No, the Etihad, as man says. So yeah, the Emirates. I'm not a huge Arsenal fan. I'm a Liverpool fan. Come on, your Reds. But yeah. So turns out Matthew's working with. Then we get a fun scene with Fletcher and Raymond when Fletcher wants them to cosplay, and then so Fletcher gives Raymond a script, and then he starts talking, and then he's just like, "Don't you mess with me." Then Fletcher's like, "Hold on, right? It's a bit wooden and all that," and then they have to start again, and then he says something about octopuses, and he's just like, "Octopuses." He's like, "Ah, no, it's Cantonese or some shit. Just keep reading it." Then they keep reading it. Then so yeah, they were working together, and then Dry Eye's like, "I'm gonna say this in English because your Cantonese is dog shit." And then he starts saying how he's gonna have to back the fuck off, and he's in charge of this thing. But then Matthew tells him that he's been in things like he's been in the paddling pool for 2 minutes. He's been swimming it with the sharks for 20 years. Or says something along the lines of that. Then he leaves, and then we see Dry Eye at the funeral of Lord George, and he meets this mysterious guy in a car. Then we get the reveal that Mickey. So the very start of the movie where Mickey's in the bar and supposedly gets shot. We get the reveal that he wasn't shot, which was pretty obvious again. And Raymond goes and he shoots the guy. And again, we don't know who this person was sent by, and he's not Chinese. He was maybe sent by Matthew. But we don't really know who this guy is. Then Dry Eye goes to see Rosalind, and because at the very start with Mickey's like, "Roz, who's there?" It turns out it was Dry Eye. So then Mickey, yeah, great scene with Rosalind, and the paperweight actually comes into play in the scene. So because Mickey knows that they're with Rosalind, Mickey and Raymond just get off in the car and they're driving way past the supposed speed limit. And then Raymond's like, oh, just slow down and all that. And then eventually a truck comes and hits them. Then we get a part where so Dry Eye's like, we're gonna resolve all these issues with your husband. You're gonna come with me and all that. Or Tony here is gonna make you come with me. Then she's just like, you're in my office. The only thing Tony can do is fuck off back to whence he came. You know that. Then Dry's like, Tony, get on it. And then she pulls out the very small paperweight. Aims at him. She's like, is that a paperweight? Then she's just like, turns out anything with paper could be a paperweight or something along the lines of that. Then she's like, what are you gonna do with it then? And then she's like, Cameron she says like, I'm gonna squeeze this trigger and Fat Tony will be no more. Then he drives. It's like, Tony, get on it, get on it. And then he goes forward. She shoots it. And it gets him in the head, but it's like this small. You can very barely see where he's being shot. So originally you're watching, I thought like nothing had happened to him, and the fact that the car had crashed, because Mickey and Raymond crashed because of a truck, you're just like, oh no, oh no. But then eventually the guy looks at it, sees some blood on his finger, he looks at Dry Eye, then he just faints. And then she points at the other guy, she's like, oh, fucking dare you. And then Dry Eye's like, calm down, I'm just gonna leave. And then the other guy tries to pull out a gun, and Rosalind shoots him. Then she's got her 2 shots of rocks. The thing only fires 2 bullets. Then Dry's like, I guess that's your 2 shots then. Then he jumps over the table, starts punching her. This is a cut in between Mickey getting out of the car and he's like, Rosalind! And all that. And then Dry Eye is like just beating her up. Then eventually he bends her over the table. It's very suggestive. Spreads her legs apart. Very suggestive what he wants to do. And he's like, stay still. And he's about to rape her. Close up of Rosalind's face. So she just kind of goes with this high vibe. And then Dry Eye looks to the left, and Mickey's there. They're just looking pretty pissed because his wife is getting sexually assaulted. Then Dry Eye starts crying. Well, doesn't start crying, but he does have a tear in his eye. Then you just see Mickey lift up the gun. Then you hear the gunshots. Then the blood splats on Rosalind. So Dry Eye actually died with a tear in his eye. Anyway, and then it is revealed by Fletcher. I mentioned this in my review. This twist, like, it was just so obvious. I don't know if it was supposed to be a twist, where it turned out that Dry Eye was really the person who killed Lord George. I was like, yeah, well, duh. Then like one of the guys is about to shoot Dry Eye, but he turns around and shoots Lord George in the head, and then Dry Eye literally pisses on his corpse. And then we get the scene where 72 hours. Fletcher tells Raymond, after this, all the evidence he has, he tells Raymond that he has 72 hours to give him £20 million, and then they can be gone. Then he leaves, and it turns out Fletcher does not know everything because of a call Raymond makes. And then Big Dave, the editor, he walks out of his building, and then what happens is he goes out, gets the toddlers park in front of they park in the space they're not allowed to park, and the guy's like, oh, you can't park here. And then basically he's like, I'll be gone in a minute. Then he's just like, you can't park here. And I was like, in a minute. Then Big Dave's like, oh, you can't park here. He's just like, I know, in a minute. And then he's just like, careful, Russell here, he knows karate. And he's like, yeah. And then Ernie steps out and he's like, is there a problem here, Chin? He's like, nope. And then another guy, ex-Benny, steps out. The other guy steps out, and then Chin's just like, careful here, lads, Russell here knows karate. Then he's just like, you know what's best for you, mate. And it's like, sorry boss, I'm only a blue belt. And he just gets in the car. Then they all surround Big Dave, and he's like, oh, you're making a YouTube video? Gonna make me want to dance? And then they just sit. He's like, I'm a very powerful man. He's like, yeah, you can tell us all about it in the van. And then they pick him up and they drag him in and they kidnap him. And it cuts, and he's got a blanket over him. He wakes up and the coach is there. He's just like, so we made a film. Like, I've got some experience in filmmaking. We made a rather erotic feature film last night. And then he looks, there's a pig, and the pig's arse is just covered in mud. And Big Dave is also covered in mud. And you see a box of Viagra pills at one point, and then he just gives him like, Ernie's like, here, 2 cups of tea, and I'm pretty sure he gives him the computer as well. Then he puts the computer down. Then he's like, once you press spacebar, you will see a rather horrific video. And then he starts saying, you can stop that from being a social media sensation, if you leave Mickey Pearson alone. Feel free to watch the video. He presses spacebar. They walk out. Presses spacebar. And it's like, oh, McDonald had a farm. Then he steps out, and then it shows Coach and the toddlers from the outside. And they're like, how's it going? Then they just hear Big Dave like, ah! And then Coach was like, yeah, does that answer your question? And it cuts to Coach showing it to Raymond, and Raymond's just like, ah. And then then Raymond's just like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then the coach is like, I know, I wouldn't even have chosen that pig as well. And it is very heavily implies what he did to that pig, and I certainly think he wouldn't want that to be a viral sensation. So then they take care of Big Dave. And then, so let's see, we got the pig scene. Mickey meets Matthew. And then when Mickey meets Matthew, he's like, Mickey knows what he's done. And then Matthew goes to the, because Mickey has like this fish shop, it's a fishmonger, I think it is. And so Mickey's like, do you know this man? Then he takes Matthew into a freezer. Then he takes down the curtain and he's put Dry Eye's corpse in the freezer. And then Matthew's like, I don't know who this man is. But then Mickey shows him a video of Matthew talking to Dry Eye at the Arsenal game. Then basically Mickey's like, I'm keeping my business, you're not getting it. He's like, I'm not emotional about the money, but what I am emotional about is someone touched my wife. And he's just like, my wife! And he just yells at him. Then he says he's going to put him in the freezer, and he says he'll last an hour, and he's got an hour to transfer £270 million. And Mickey says he can't repay the debt for his wife, so he wants a pound of flesh. And then he doesn't know where it's from, but as long as he gets a pound of flesh. So it's heavily implied that Matthew's put in a freezer and then he dies in the freezer. And then Ray, Fletcher and Coach cuts back to them and they have a meeting, and Fletcher's like, so is my money here? Then Coach is like, check that box and all that. And then Fletcher checks it and it's just a bunch of files, and it's to do with Fletcher. And then basically what happens next is Ray and Fletcher, turns out Ray knew that Fletcher was following them the entire time, because Fletcher's good at his job, Ray's just better. And Ray put a tracker in the shoes when Fletcher went inside the house, so that made it easier to track him. And then Ray and Coach put Fletcher in a box. Then Coach is like, this is the last favour and all that. And they do one more thing for him. And then what is it they do again? Fletcher puts money under the box and they steal the money from Fletcher, I think is what they do. I'm gonna have to rewatch it. There's quite a lot to remember, even though I've got notes here. So then when they lock Fletcher in the box, Fletcher starts shouting, it's like, I know who's really gonna kill, I know who's really been behind this and all that. And then it turns out Fletcher, so the guy who they killed earlier, the Oslin guy who got pushed out of the council estate, and the guy whose head was in the freezer, he's the son of an ex-KGB agent, who's also now the head of a Russian mob. And so he's head of this Russian mob, and then these Russians want to kill Mickey and Raymond and all that, especially Rosalind. And it turns out that's the guy who met Dry Eye at Lord George's funeral. So then they attack Raymond's house and they hijack the car, and Mickey gets in, and then Mickey's like, Bunny, because Raymond texts him saying don't get in the car, but then the Russians are like, no Dave, It's Dave, not Bunny, who's supposed to be driving the car. And then so the guy goes the Russians attack. Then the coach kills two of the no, this is before. I'm missing a bit. So what I like about the scene is we don't know exactly what's going on because of the Russians coming, and we think the way it's kind of shot, the toddlers are like, "Hey coach, we're gonna take care of this Mickey problem," and you're thinking, "Oh, are the toddler's gonna kill Mickey or something? Is coach gonna take the wheat farm? Is he secretly working for someone?" And you're very uncertain about what's going on. And then so obviously the toddlers are in the van. They're about to escort Mickey. Then Fletcher says that he's the one who gave the Russians all the information about them, and Mickey's trapped. But then the two guys go. You hear two gunshots. Raymond goes to see what it is, but Coach just killed the two guys who were there at Raymond's house. And then the toddlers pull out a big machine gun. Mickey gets down and they kill the two Russians, and then the toddlers basically save Mickey. Then after the final scene is Fletcher is like, alright, so Mickey, they crash, then we see Mickey's gone, and then car crashes, cut to black, roll credits, and then the guy is like, what happened? And it turns out he's at a pitch meeting, he's at a film studio, and he's just like, so what happened to Mickey? And he's just like, I need an ending. And he's like, no, what you need is a sequel. And then he just says, you know my how much I want to be paid and all that. He goes into a taxi, and then Raymond's the taxi driver, and he says what Fletcher says. He's like, Buenos Ramos, I think it's like Buenos Ramos Fletcher Mondo. And Fletcher's like, Raymond, and then he just tries to get the taxi, but it's locked. And Raymond's just like, I want you to play a game with me, Fletcher. And then he drives off and ends with Rosalind basically telling Mickey that Raymond's got Fletcher. So I'm pretty sure Raymond killed Fletcher. Then Rosalind shuts the door, and it's implied what they do next. So pretty good ending and to a amazing film. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll be doing Snatch review and a Lock Stock review. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time in the Average Moviegoer.